Many years ago, in the beautiful village of Ogwashi, lived a young lady named Mira. Mira was very attractive. She was tall, had smooth brown skin, pretty eyes, and a balanced figure. But Mira had something that made her more famous than her looks. It wasn't her poise. It wasn't her cooking. It wasn't even fashion, even though she had a good taste of it. What made Mira a household name was one thing: her mouth. Not just the shape of her mouth, no, it was what came out of it. Gossip. Pure, unfiltered, juicy, and spicy gossip. Mira was very fast when it came to spreading news. She was faster than the village radio, even faster than the town crier. From morning till night, if there was any news in Ogwashi, whether true or false, Mira had either heard it first, added seasoning to it, or already spread it to at least 5 people. She didn't just talk, she announced like a megaphone. Even people in the next village knew Mira's name. One time, she traveled for her cousin's naming ceremony in a town 3 hours away, but within 10 minutes, she had already told people that the new baby had bow legs and that the husband had another child in Lagos. Mira called it a gift. Some people have long legs, some people have money, while me, I have long ears and a fast mouth. Is it a crime? Her mother was tired of her by now. Every day, she would shout in disappointment, "Mira, come here. Did I give birth to a radio station? Must you talk every time? Must you put your mouth in everything?" But Mira would laugh it off and say, "Mama, it is not how you see it though. I am only helping people stay informed." Informed about what, Mira? That Mama Chinyere's daughter got pregnant, or that I used to snore when I was pregnant with you? God will judge you, Mira. You better change. But Mira didn't listen. She never did, because in her mind, what was the point of knowing something interesting if you couldn't tell someone else? Her chest might just explode if she tried to box it in. Well, you see, Mira didn't just gossip. She collected the gist like a treasure. She had 3 strategies. First, every evening, Mira would sit outside her compound with a plastic chair, chewing granuts or pretending to read a Bible or a novel. But her eyes were on the road. If a girl passed by with a man that was too fine to be her brother, Mira would mark it down mentally. Then she would go to Ogwashi market, not to buy anything serious, so no, she would only buy small tomatoes just to stand near the busy women and listen. Then she would enter different stalls just to hear quarrels and then carry the news back home with full details. But that was not all. The church was another source for her never-ending gossip. Mira was in the ushering unit at church, not because she liked ushering, but because she got to stand by the entrance and observe everyone who came late, who sat alone, who had a crush, who wore the same shoe as last week. Nothing escaped her. Soon, the whole village started walking on eggshells. People were careful of what they said, and even the children were warned. If Mira asks you anything, just say you don't know. The men avoided saying hello to her, and women crossed the road to avoid her. One day, Mama Ada was overheard shouting at her daughter, "You say you saw a strange man following me to the back of my shop. Don't let Mira hear that, oh. That girl can spread gist faster than mosquitoes spread malaria." Yet, despite all the warnings, Mira's mouth only became busier. What made it worse was that she wasn't even mean. She was not a wicked girl, so she wasn't doing it to destroy people. She just loved gist. The juicier, the better. But One day, Mira's mouth finally ran into something her eyes could not see and her ears could not handle. It was a hot Saturday afternoon in Ogwashi. The weather was very hot, the kind of heat that made dogs lie flat on their stomachs and chickens hide under benches. The streets were quiet, except for one place, Mira's compound. She sat outside fanning herself with a broken hand fan, sipping cold zobo and pretending to read a magazine. But her ears were wide open. From across the fence, she could hear voices. Mama Doris was arguing with her teenage daughter, shouting something about a missing phone and a stolen SIM card. Mira leaned back and smirked. "Let me just keep this gist in my pocket first," she said to herself. "I will need it for later." Just as she was giggling to herself, she saw something that made her sit up straight. Coming down the road was Mama Sidi, an old woman who lived at the far end of the village. She hardly came out during the day. Most people said she preferred darkness. She wore a long faded wrapper, a red blouse with a torn sleeve, and walked slowly, dragging her left leg like it had offended her. Her head was covered with a thick scarf, and she held a small calabash tightly in one hand. Everyone in Ogwashi knew to respect Mama Sidi, not because she was rich, but because she was strange. She didn't talk to people. She didn't laugh at parties. She didn't join church groups. Some said she used to be a powerful traditional healer before she turned quiet. Rumor even had it that one man tried to cheat her in business 10 years ago, and 2 days later, the man's yam barn caught fire during rainy season. People said it was her doing. Another time, a goat entered her compound and refused to come out again. The owner begged, cried, and even offered money, but Mama Sidi refused to speak. Weeks later, the same goat gave birth to 2 baby goats with human-looking eyes. Mira had heard all the stories, but as usual, she didn't believe any of them. "She's just a lonely old woman," Mira would always say. People fear her because they enjoy fear. But that Saturday, as Mama Sidi walked past her compound, Mira noticed something strange. The old woman stopped, looked at a flower in front of Mira's gate, and began talking to it. Yes, talking, not praying, not humming, but talking. Mira blinked. She rubbed her eyes, but it was real. Mama Sidi bent low and said in a soft, crackly voice, "Aha, you are growing well, my little flower. You missed me today. Don't worry, I'm fine. That breeze last night tried to disturb me, but I warned it off." Then she smiled and walked away. Mira's mouth opened wide. She didn't even wait for 1 hour. By 5 p.m., she was already at Mama P's shop. "I swear on my late uncle's grave, I saw it with my own eyes." "Are you sure?" Mama P whispered. She talked to the flower. Talked, like she was greeting her long-lost friend. "I thought only a witch could do that." "Ewo," Mama P clapped. "Then it is true. My sister's husband's cousin once said that she talks to trees too." "Hey, she needs help," Mira added with a serious face. "Or maybe she needs to return to her village. We are not safe with her here." From Mama P's shop, the gist flew to the saloon. From there, it flew to the church choir group. By the time the evening was over, at least over 30 people had heard Mira's version of the story. Mama Sidi speaks to flowers and believes the wind listens to her. She must be a witch because what other explanation was there to it? That night, Mira sat in her room smiling like a cat who just stole fish. I love this village, she laughed. People just make my work very easy. See free distribution, oh. 3 days later, Mira was walking back from buying corn when she saw Mama Sidi standing by the junction that evening. Their eyes met, but Mama Sidi didn't look angry. She didn't frown or shout. She simply raised her hand, pointed her long skinny finger at Mira and said, "You run your mouth like a flowing river, but one day you will give birth to what you carry." Mira stood still and blinked. What did she just say? Mama Sidi turned and walked away, dragging her legs slowly as usual. Mira laughed nervously. "I beg, this woman just talks anyhow. She must have been talking to one of her flower friends again." But that night, Mira didn't sleep well. She kept hearing those words again and again, louder and clearer this time. "You will give birth to what you carry." And they would continue to haunt her for a very long time. Long before Mama Sidi's warning began to haunt her dreams, there was already one man who refused to be afraid of Mira's dangerous mouth. Kunle. Kunle was not from Ogwashi originally. He moved there 2 years earlier from a nearby town to open a small mechanic workshop. He was the kind of man every mother wanted her daughter to marry. He was tall, gentle, very hardworking, and was always smelling of engine oil and peppermint. Unlike most of the men in Ogwashi who crossed the streets when they saw Mira coming, Kunle walked right up to her one sunny day at the market and said with a grin, "Good afternoon, fine woman. I have been watching you since last week. Are you always this beautiful, or is it just today?" Mira turned and looked at him like he had lost his mind. "Are you talking to me?" "Yes, except there is another fine woman beside you." Mira blinked. "You know who I am, right?" Kunle smiled wider. "Of course, you are Mira, the woman with the sharpest tongue in 5 villages." Mira hissed and turned to go, but Kunle followed her. "Wait, I didn't say it like an insult. I mean, you know everything. You are like a walking newspaper." Mira frowned. "You better be careful before I report you to your own ancestors." Kunle laughed, and that made Mira's stomach jump small. But she didn't show it, of course. "Buy me granuts and stop talking nonsense," she casually said. And just like that, their friendship began. It started small with granuts, and then it turned to suya. From there, they began to stroll in the evenings. Kunle had a different personality Mira had never seen. He wasn't loud like her. He was calm, thoughtful, and somehow knew how to make her quiet without making her feel stupid. When she started to gossip around him, Kunle would raise his hand and say, "Mira, wait first. Is this one useful or just pepper soup gist?" Sometimes she would sulk and say, "So, I should stop being myself?" "No," Kunle would reply, "I just want you to be a better version of yourself." Over time, Mira began to change, but not completely. She still gossiped, but now she chose her audience carefully, and she always tried to leave out names, even though everyone still knew who she was talking about. Soon, people began to whisper, "Mira has calmed down. Is it Kunle's love?" Her mother even called it a miracle. "I don't know what that boy gave her, but I hope he never stops." Months later, on a Sunday after church service, Kunle took Mira to the back of the church compound under the mango tree. He faced her and cleared his throat. "Mira, you are the noisiest person I have ever met, but you are also the most interesting. You annoy me. You make me laugh. You drive me crazy." Mira rolled her eyes. This had better not be an insult with a suit and a bow tie. Kunle laughed. "It is not, Mira. Will you marry me? Mira froze. Wait, are you serious? Kunle knelt down, pulled out a small silver ring from his pocket and said again, will you marry me? Mira blinked, looked around to be sure it wasn't a joke, and then screamed, yes, of course! She jumped on him and they both laughed under the mango tree. Immediately the village heard it. They went wild. Kunle and Mira, together, marriage, how? People shook their heads. Kunle has fallen into the gossip trap. He will soon beg us to rescue him, don't worry. I promise you, 1 week after their marriage, she will tell the whole town how he snores like a wounded cow. But Mira didn't care, and neither did Kunle. They had a small traditional wedding in Mira's compound. There was plenty of jollof rice, dance, and Mira even surprised people by not talking too much during the celebration. Her mother cried, not from sadness, but from shock. She's really growing up, her mother said. Maybe this mouth of hers will finally rest. If only they knew that Mira's mouth had not finished causing trouble. In fact, the real trouble had not even started. The first month of Mira's marriage to Kunle was sweeter than honey. Their small apartment behind the market was always filled with laughter, music, and the smell of pepper soup. Mira cooked with love, cleaned the house like she was preparing for angels, and even stopped talking about people for 2 whole weeks. Kunle was overjoyed and relieved. He even bragged to his friends at the mechanic workshop. This my wife is now a new woman. If you knew her before, forget it all. This is wife version 2.0. Mira too would sit with her mother and say things like, I am done with gossip, mama. I am now a married woman. I only talk when necessary. Her mother would nod, although suspiciously. I hope it lasts longer than a new wrapper smell. But of course, it didn't, because soon Mira's slimy tongue would become slimy and run more than okra soup cooked with original Badagry ogbono where they draw well. It started one hot afternoon. Mira had gone to fetch water at the community borehole when she saw Amaka, her old schoolmate, arguing with a boy who looked like a younger version of her husband. Mira didn't say anything. She fetched her water quietly. But by the time she reached home, her mouth was already itching. She sat beside Kunle as he ate lunch. Baby, she began, acting casually. You remember that Amaka girl with big hips and one lazy eye? Kunle paused. The one from your secondary school? Yes, I saw her just now. She was fighting with one small boy, and that boy looked exactly like her husband, but the boy was too grown to be her. Kunle dropped his spoon. Mira, please, let it go. You promised. But I'm not gossiping now. I am only sharing my observation. Kunle shook his head and continued eating, but Mira couldn't hold it in. That evening, she called her old friend Blessing. Guess what I saw today? Amaka and one small boy with the same big ears as her husband. Blessing screamed. Are you saying what I am thinking? I didn't say anything, oh, Mira giggled. I am just talking to my friend. Within 2 weeks, Mira was fully back to her job. The market women started avoiding her again, and church members gave her tight smiles and silent nods. One morning during sanitation, she told 3 women that the pastor's wife was secretly collecting tithes to be able to afford a new fridge. Most times, her news were just baseless and meaningless, just like this one, which wasn't even true. She had just imagined it because the woman posted a picture of fried rice and a chilled Coke. Kunle noticed the change immediately and called her one night. Mira, you are becoming yourself again. Oh. Mira frowned. What is wrong with that? But you promised you would change. I never said I would become a mute. Talking is not a sin. Kunle sighed. But your talking is causing problems. People avoid me now. They think I married trouble. That one touched Mira small, but pride wouldn't let her admit it. Well, if they don't like me, they can go and drink hot water. Mira, what? Please leave me. I am not killing anybody. I just talk. Kunle didn't argue again. He rolled to the other side of the bed and faced the wall. Mira lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling fan turning slowly above them. As she drifted off to sleep, she began to dream. In the dream, Mira was walking through the market, but no one could see her. She tried to greet people, but they ignored her. She tried to talk, but when she opened her mouth, flowers came out. Not just any flowers, huge red flowers shaped like human being lips. She screamed and ran off. But she saw Mama Sidi sitting under a mango tree, laughing softly at her. Mira, Mira, you planted words. Now your harvest has come. Mira shouted. What harvest? What do you mean? Mama Sidi pointed behind her. Mira turned and she saw a baby crawling towards her. The baby was chubby, soft-skinned and smiling, but the baby's lips were so big that they dragged on the ground. Mira screamed and woke up gasping for breath. Her body was soaked with sweat. Kunle sat up. Are you okay? Mira looked around the room in fear. I had a strange dream. I saw Mama Sidi. She said something about harvest and a baby with big lips. Kunle rubbed her back gently. Maybe it's just stress. Stop thinking about that old woman. But Mira didn't reply. She remembered those words again. You will give birth to what you carry. Suddenly, her stomach made a strange sound. And just like that, the very next week, Mira discovered she was pregnant. Now, pregnancy in Ogwashi was usually a joyful affair. Once a woman confirmed she was expecting, the news spread faster than morning harmattan. Gifts would start to pour in, mangoes from neighbors, and advice from every woman over 40 years. But Mira's pregnancy came like a secret and stayed like a mystery. The day she found out, she sat on the edge of the bathtub holding the test strip like it was a snake. She blinked twice when she saw positive. Kunle was in the sitting room fixing the remote when she stepped out and whispered, Kunle, I am pregnant. He turned sharply. Are you serious? She nodded. Kunle jumped up and shouted, Yes, oh, God has done it. He lifted her and spun her around while Mira laughed, trying not to throw up. It was the first time she had felt truly happy in months. But that happiness didn't last long. From the first month, Mira noticed something was strange. Her belly grew faster than normal. By the end of the second month, she looked like she was already 4 months gone. Her back ached like she had been pounding yam for 3 days, and her feet swelled. She couldn't even sleep at night. To make matters worse, the dreams returned every night. Sometimes it was Mama Sidi sitting in a chair, rocking a baby with giant lips. Other times, she saw herself at the markets carrying her unborn child on her back. But the baby lips were so big that people ran away screaming. She would would wake up panting, sweating and crying. Kunle tried to comfort her. It's just hormones. Pregnant women dream a lot. But Mira knew better. Something wasn't right. It wasn't long before the market women noticed. Have you seen Mira's stomach? She looks like she's carrying triplets. I heard she fainted last week. Maybe it is because of all the people she gossiped about. Probably she had used up all her strength for gossiping. Mira heard all of it. The same village she had once entertained with gists now pointed fingers and whispered behind her. They were now the ones gossiping about the famous village gossip. And strangely enough, she didn't even feel like talking again. Her strength was gone and her sharp tongue was now dull. One Sunday, she passed out in church. She was rushed to the hospital, but after examination, the doctor confirmed the baby is okay, but the pregnancy is unusual. We need to watch it closely. By her 7th month, Mira could barely walk. Her stomach looked like a ripe watermelon. Even her mother was afraid to talk too much around her for fear that the belly would burst. I have never seen a pregnancy like this before. Mama Mira whispered to Kunle, "You people should better go to a prayer house." Kunle agreed. He took Mira to 2 churches, 3 herbal women, and even a fasting mountain, but nothing changed. And then one night, Mira had the worst dream of all. She was lying in her room surrounded by hundreds of babies, all of them with massive lips. They crawled towards her, crying and laughing at the same time. She screamed and screamed, but no sound came out of her mouth. She woke up gasping and held her belly tightly. That morning, she told Kunle, "What if this is that old woman's doing? What if she's tormenting me? I keep seeing her every time." But Kunle held her tightly. "Stop thinking like that. What if it is someone else? You know how these things work sometimes. The faces we see in our dreams are often not the exact people we should be wary of. I just think you should focus on the baby." Mira agreed and tried to hold up strong until Labor Day came. At exactly 4:02 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, Mira screamed from her bed, "Kunle, Kunle, my water just broke." He jumped up, ran around the house looking for his trousers, wore his shirt backward, and carried her to the bike outside. They rushed to St. Anthony's Clinic. By the time they reached, Mira was screaming, shaking, and biting her lips uncontrollably. The midwife, Nurse Kemi, got to work immediately. "Push, Mira, push!" And after 3 long hours of intense pushing, the baby came out, but for 10 full seconds, no one said anything. The room was suddenly quiet. Mira was breathing heavily. "What is wrong? Is it a boy or a girl?" The nurse carried the baby slowly, looked at the face, and struggled to catch her breath. Even the doctor froze. Kunle stepped closer, and there in the nurse's arms was a beautiful baby girl, very beautiful in such a way that no one had ever seen. Kunle staggered back, unable to say a word. Mira tried to sit up. "What is wrong? Let me see her." But when they handed her the baby, she screamed and fainted. What type of baby did Mira give birth to that had everyone in a fog? How will this affect her life and marriage? Stay connected to find out in the next part. Share the story out with your loved ones. Give the story a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Until I bring the next part your way. Bye!